So, of course, you've seen a lot of videos from this about Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway for the BMF title at UFC 300, and everybody in the MMA community is all of a sudden being like, oh my god, UFC 300 is saved! Woo, we did it, everybody! The UFC community is happy. But guys, I want to talk about that today because everybody jumped the gun on UFC 300. It's not going to be a breakdown, not going to really be talking about Holloway versus Gaethje. It's a very exciting fight. I will talk about that closer to UFC 300. We're going to get into it second, though, because I have an ultimate message for the MMA community. But hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. Let's talk about this. So guys, what I wanted to say, and I actually made an entire video that was going to go live the day after the breakout news of Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje and Jim Miller versus Bobby Green on UFC 300, because the whole video was about everybody needs to stop and just chill for a second because everybody's going crazy, especially after the Wei Lee announcement, which, by the way, I will stand on this. You guys should have expected a women's fight, and this is like, aside from Alexa Grasso versus Wei Lee Zhang, this is the best you are going to get for women's MMA. And when is Wei Lee not exciting? Honestly, she's always exciting. Okay, but that's not the conversation. But the whole video was about, you guys should have expected a women's title fight. You should have expected that from the announcement. I know Dana White hypes it up, and you can argue about whether or not that's a good thing, but you have to expect this. And at the time, I don't know about right now if it's reached half the card, but we haven't even had half the card announced at that point. And what I was talking about in that video is everybody needs to stop. For all we know, this could be the greatest card of all time. And then I dove into UFC 200, compared all the fights there and how it was stacking up. We had a women's fight as the main event. John Jones, you should expect to pull out like he always does, right? So the whole message was to stop and hang on for a second. And now the UFC and Dana White comes out with two banger fight announcements, and all of a sudden everybody's happy again. I don't understand why everybody was getting so outraged about UFC 300. Yeah, UFC 299 is great. UFC 300 might be better. We still don't have the full card. Apparently, we still have two title fights coming. So the card legitimately could be better than 299 no matter what, but my message to everybody is you need to stop and just hang out for a second, because once we get the full card, if you don't like it, if fighters start pulling out, the BMF title's no longer on the line, then I will be right there with you. Honestly, I'll be like, hey, this card does not live up to UFC 300. UFC, what are you doing? Why is 299 so stacked, but we don't have this, right? But all I had to do was wait. And honestly, you guys need to start appreciating the cards for what they are instead of expecting Brock Lesnar to come back, GSP to come back, Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Leon Edwards. Why is that where some people are going with this? You need to keep your expectations in check, and most importantly, you need to stop jumping to conclusions so fast. We still, to this day, do not have nearly the entire card announced. It could be the greatest card of all time. It very well could. But I'm going to wait and see before I judge. It's okay to be like, I mean, like, what could the UFC really make? And talk about that kind of stuff. Or, so far, I'm not really impressed, but everybody was going crazy. Content creators, the MMA community, everywhere. You were seeing posts that UFC 300 was going to be crap. How could you possibly jump to that conclusion? Yeah, you could speculate it, but everyone's saying like it's fact. And now you have one fight. One fight is all that it took, because nobody's talking about Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. One fight is all that it took for everybody to switch their opinions. It's crazy to me. So guys, just, if you're still crapping on UFC 300, which we're not seeing a lot, if we get another subpar fight announcement, that's okay. Just hang on for a second. Wait for the entire full card to get announced. Wait for, most importantly, the main event, and we may not even have the co-main event. Maybe. Wait to judge, guys. Just hold on for a second, okay? Wait before you judge UFC 300. You can judge UFC 297 now. But guys, let me know what you think about all this down below. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you are interested, by the way, speaking of hanging on and waiting for UFC 300, while we wait for UFC 300, why don't you check out this video where I ranked male attractiveness for UFC fighters, because it's just the male edition this time around, guys, but it's still a fun video to make. Thank you so much for being here. Take care, everybody.